What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Sports Bible Podcast. I am your host, Richie, with my co-host, Rob. Been a minute. We were getting through some tough Knicks losses, which I said we wouldn't do a podcast till the Knicks got over 500. So, we had to just give in at some point. I'm just joking, but um, you never hear us again. But
And
welcome back.
also, if the Celtics, we said we were thinking about doing it if they ever lost again, which we may
Uh,
not see again.
yeah, you can see the bipolarness in not bipolarness. The differences in our teams. And not I don't know. I'm not a math major. That doesn't even make sense either. Welcome back, guys. um it's been a while. We're sorry about that. Caught up with some stuff. Thanksgiving, I got the stomach bug, so I lost 7 pounds.
hmm
That was fun. But you know who's not making you throw up nowadays? We'll just get right into it. You know who's not making you throw up now?
Who?
The Los Angeles Lakers. I never thought I would say
Mm,
that.
especially on
Uh
the podcast.
Yeah, really. Right before we get into it, though, just you know where to follow us: Sports Bible Pod, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, not Facebook, not MySpace,
Yeah, and we
YouTube.
also, you always say the MySpace thing. We
Yeah,
also want to say, we hope you guys had a good holiday as well.
for sure. Yeah.
We're coming up on the 1 year anniversary. I wasn't going to say that, but I'm just thinking that just now. And
Yeah, December. I'll look at the date.
December-ish,
We
right?
got we got to do a 1 year pod.
Yeah, of course. And
We gotta
as
get one the day of.
as we always say to you guys as well, like we apologize for the inactivity. It's just we're doing a lot with CBS, totally, and
Not the drugstore.
trying to, we're growing in our field day by day. Me and Rich are both writing a lot. Rich is editing stuff for the NFL.
December 3rd. So what day of the week is that? Next week? Is
That
that
is
this week?
Saturday. Yeah, that's Saturday.
We gotta do something.
And we did say we were going to do a second one at
We
the
gotta
end of
do
this.
something.
Yeah.
We got Yeah. So again, before we even get into the Lakers, let's just do a quick briefing. I didn't mean to rush into anything, but quick briefing. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks, like you said. Like I hope you guys, we hope you had a good holiday if you celebrated. I know there's people out there that don't. Um, but regardless, hope you ate good food. Hope you played football in the morning like I did, and missed a wide open touchdown. The only time I got to be quarterback, that was wide open, just right over his head. But
It
I look like
happens, man.
that. It's like the meme on the Knicks meme you see all the time when the guy like tried to shoot a full court shot and he just right over the stands basically. Did you ever see that meme? Every
I
time,
think I
every
have, but
time.
I was just gonna say, not to get off topic. I was just saying
No,
to you
you're good.
before on the phone, like the Laker fan that just won $75,000. Like we've been seeing a few winners lately, but that I do remember the
Oh,
iconic
I was gonna
at
say,
the
how'd you figure out to get the Lakers into a full court shot? There you go. No, if
before that. But
if you're a Baker Mayfield fan, you see that enough. It's Baker Mayfield drops back to pass and just right over. And honestly, it's true at this point. He sucks. Hate to be that guy, but he sucks.
Mr. Darnold,
um, yeah, he actually looked pretty good. For his standards.
unlike the
But
other Jets quarterback.
uh, Zach Wilson. Oh yeah, it's not Mike effing White.
Yeah, I mean, week by week with them, a lot of Jets fans aren't looking at him as the savior, but also a
Yeah.
lot are. So it's a 1 week. The kid did just beat Buffalo, and like we're going way off topic, but this
Wait,
is
who
we
beat
miss each other.
Buffalo?
I was saying,
Oh, Zach Wilson. I
Wilson,
thought you meant Mike White. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
maybe
like,
Chicago.
of course he went through that, and people are like, is this a Jet thing? But like also he was viewed as like Kyrie Irving in the media, it seemed like this whole past week, just because, he's like, oh, no, we didn't let the defense down when like he could have been a professional leader and said, and he apologized and noticed himself. He's like, I got to be better as a leader. Like, I can't let my guys down like that. And he knows. And the better quarterback as of right now. And I forget what the stat was. We all know, like me and my football stats,
With Mike
but
White?
yeah, what was it in that first half and just he's played one less minute and then he had
Oh, he has like three touchdowns in like a game, and Zach Wilson has four this year. But at
I
that
was
point, it
gonna
was
say,
3 and 30 minutes. Like at that point,
yeah, I
um,
thought it was something with the yards, maybe.
I forgot. I think we had a guest on for the episode when you said like Miles Garrett was Garrett Wilson or something like that.
We didn't, but we we laughed about it in our fantasy basketball chat.
Someone you said something like that. I forget.
I called,
I
yeah.
forget if
So
I forget if it was
I knew
Nick or
I knew it was Miles. It was
Tyler.
just me and you. It was just me and you. This was recently. This was like when CBS was just starting for me, and
Yeah,
it was when the Jets played the Browns in the beginning of the season, and I was like trying to think of Garrett Wilson, and I knew his name wasn't Miles Garrett, and his name's not Miles Garrett. What is it? It's Garrett something, and you were like
yeah,
Miles Garrett's on the Browns, and I just seemed like a fool, and it happened.
yeah. But we are gonna wholeheartedly agree to disagree on that Kyrie Irving take with Zach Wilson because Kyrie Irving has talent. Zach Wilson doesn't.
I mean, we haven't done this
I,
since that happened with Nick
I'm
Friedel.
sorry, Jets fans. He sucks. He sucks. He's bad.
Not for and while we were gone as well, that happened with Kyrie Irving, and like
Oh,
I said to you,
what's his summer reading homework? That's what I've been calling it.
the way I went in, what did I say? I'm like that happened with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving was Kyrie Irving. I'm sorry. Me, the amount of
Oh,
times I
isn't
said
that
to you on
long? Yeah, because I was. It was Halloween because
it was.
I was at my girlfriend's cousin's house for like a Halloween party, and I remember sitting in the Wendy's parking lot waiting for food, and I'm watching on my phone. I'm like what the hell? Like what the heck is Kyrie Irving doing? And my girlfriend's Jewish, so it's like she's like explaining to me like everything like in the book and all that stuff and what he's promoting.
Mm,
Um, she hates basketball, so she doesn't care about that. But she
okay.
cares because she's Jewish. So it can be offensive. Obviously, I didn't understand why people like were doing that. Uh, and I still don't really know like I didn't like look at the book at all, meaning what bothered me with Kyrie was that he it's so easy just to say sorry. We know we no one cares if you don't mean it. Like you got to know how to play your PR cards right. And I know he doesn't care about it, but it is just it's not no one's gonna call you fake. It's just it causes your team so much less of a headache if you just say sorry. You can still believe in what you want to believe in. Like it's not illegal to be whatever he is. It's not right, but it's not against the law. Um, so I don't know. I'm not talking about Kyrie.
Yeah, we're not going to get too into this. It's just like that when that happened, our
20
point
minutes later.
yeah, like we're just we want to talk about our point of view since we haven't, we talked
Yeah,
about between me and you, but we didn't talk about this live. And I mean, of course I did, typing away on Twitter, everyone knows. But
yeah.
it's
It
it's
it's stupid.
it was the fact that like one. So I told everyone this story how him and Nick Friedel. First of all, me and you on the pod, and I was saying before the season started, when the season started, when we did the one or two, whatever it was, I was like, he is playing the card that he is the hero now, going into his contract year. He's a different person. He's a different type of, he's doing things differently. He's showing he's all in and he can't mess around this year. And he knows that. And so that, after all the Kanye West stuff, that was what's up.
What did I say though before the year?
We'll see what happens.
He's gonna do all this nice stuff because like it's a clean slate, you know?
Yeah, we'll
Um,
see what happens when when
yeah.
the season comes. What do we say?
Yeah, and
And
20 games in now and
what was it at the time? Like what, eight, seven? I
yeah.
think it was six or
What did he miss?
seven,
How many games did he miss? Six?
and eight.
8 games? I know he missed the Knicks
But
game. I'm not even gonna get into that game. I stopped watching that game
always miss.
when
Yeah,
Edmund
always misses
Sumner
the
was
next
hitting step
matchup.
back fake. Edmund Sumner's hitting step back fadeaways. I'm like, what the like why?
So like, I mean, the Kanye West stuff happened, and a lot of analysts, Stephen A. and all them, when Joe Tsai announced this, they were like, I've heard he's done with Kyrie, this and that, and it doesn't really seem like it from the public eye, but he very well may be. And a lot of people wouldn't be surprised with all the unnecessary drama and just the stuff he's brought upon the Nets organization through these 3-4 years. And it's just, that's the thing. The biggest message that I told you when me and you discussed it was like, people need to understand player empowerment nowadays and the influence that not only the athlete has, and the athlete, as we know, has more strength and power on their platform, probably more than celebrities, more than anyone today. And he is not just in basketball, he is one of the most iconic athletes. And you may say it's for the negative or for the positive. You could easily say either or at this point. Probably
Negative press is still press.
Yeah, like, and we, again, me and you have said it a million times, we know the amazing, selfless, unbelievable human being he is. But it's just the things he has done in the public eye. And a lot of people would look at it, and the negative side lately. It's just, he is one of the most iconic athletes at this point, and you can't do that. Like, and not for nothing, you had the link to Amazon, you had it right up, and that was his whole thing. Again, this was a month ago, but like, we just love talking about the guy, and we wanted to discuss our thoughts. And it's just, his whole thing was, I saw both sides. That's like, he thought that it was the press pinning it on him again, and he thought like, he acted like what his apology was, which again, he didn't apologize till he got suspended, but
he lost his money.
Yeah, and then what that was like, he was saying that he acted out of emotion, and that's why he was acting like that to reporters and saying like, I'll say it again, like, how could I be anti-sentimental if I accept all walks of life? But
anti-sentimental?
Is that what I said?
It's Semitic.
I literally didn't even notice I said it. That's how like into it I am. Anti-Semitic.
It's all right. No, it's all right. Everyone knew you meant anti-sentimental.
I apologize.
No, it's all right. You didn't say anything bad.
So obviously people know he's not, but it's that, like you said, it's that simple to say sorry. It was a story. The Nets Pacer game, Richard Jefferson talked about it. Ian Eagle talked about it during the game. Richard was like, who's his good friend from the Cleveland days, said, I told him I'm going to discuss this on the broadcast. The tweet is still up. The post is still, like, you can't do that. And you got to understand, like Richard said, and like I just said now, you got to understand the power you have. And he knew he would discuss it. It was a 6-minute plus, near 10, him at the podium discussing, his story of life and everything he's about. And he quickly went from, that's what people were like, come on, Kai. He went from, I have a whole army behind me and I have a powerful influence, to a minute later. See, like, I'm messing up my words now. That's just
no, you're good. You didn't say anything bad. You just messed up the word.
I know. It's just, I'm an idiot, especially when I'm locked into the sports talk. I could,
yeah, Myles Garrett.
Mess up vocabulary sometimes, and that's how much I love this stuff. But that's the thing, was like, he was, just being that, he's just so intelligent with, his selflessness and the way he speaks and stuff like that. And he went from, I have that whole army, to like, stop dehumanizing me, bro. Like I said to you on the phone, he went and then switched to that and said, like, you guys think I have this big thing that's like behind me, that's like, oh, you can't, I've actually laughed when he said it that way.
He contradicts himself.
He's like, you cannot post this. He's like, why not? Why? Like, why me? And It's just like, dude, because you are one of the most well-known sports figures,
Yeah.
like you
Oh,
cannot do that. And it's that simple to me. And to close out the Kyrie talk, can you hear me? It says the network's unstable.
you're good.
He, so someone who me and you talk about a lot from ESPN, Nick Friedel, covers the Nets, great reporter, great journalist, who obviously we idolize with the many others. He got into it with Kai last year about the vax. When I wrote, I might have said this on one of our previous pods, but when I wrote the Kyrie story that I did the day before the season tipped off, I published it. And it was talking about how he knows this is the time.
Yeah.
And Nick Friedel, at media day, when I was, taking quotes and looking at parts, he talked to Nick Friedel, and he's about to question Kyrie, being on that good guy, rally, just that public good guy, at least, like we said, looks at Friedel and he's like, me and you, he gives him the finger. He's like, me and you are going to be the best friend, are going to be best friends, by the end of the year. And they're just laughing. He's like, you think we are now, but you're going to give me a hug, be like, look, I knew what you were doing. I know like everything you were talking about. I just had to do my job, this and that. And it just became a thing. And then I'm listening to his pod or a piece of it, and he said that he was leaving the Nets facility, sees Kyrie with a bunch of friends. Kyrie asked him multiple times, bro, do you want to ride home? Do you want to ride home? Just wouldn't leave Nick alone. And Nick was like, nah, Kyrie, I still have work to do. I still have, his publishing to write, stuff like that. Kyrie's like, you sure? And they're walking out or walking together at one point. He's like, Kyrie, my mom saw the press between me and you on media day, said she's going to make a shirt with my face on it that says, Kyrie's best friend. And Kyrie was like, I don't see why not.
Hmm.
And then here we are. That happens. And all me and the rest of what we do, we're all posting it, quoting it, saying so much for Nick Friedel and Kyrie Irving being best friends. And that's what happened. And he gave his big apology we saw when he came back, deservingly so, talked about his story, his life. Um, it's just that's the thing, dude. It's your owner talked about it. He knows it's not right. The world knows it's not right. So they're gonna ask about it. Like I know you gave your big speech about it. You didn't intend for it and you spoke out of emotion. But like it's that easy to just be like, I'm sorry. No one's dehumanizing you. It's just that was the story, so the press is gonna ask.
Yeah.
No one's like, and I remember in that conversation, he was like, out of all the things I put on my story that day, that's what people choose to see. Like it shows the world we live in. I get it. Like
You should
you're,
know that by now.
yeah, and like he's tired of everything being on him. Like
Then stop giving them ammo.
exactly that. Like that's perfectly beautifully said.
Don't
That
feed a fire with gasoline.
exactly, and like you're, it's that easy to be like, I didn't intend for it. I'm sorry, and then just don't be like, oh, like, can you please stop calling it a promotion? Because that's what fucking social media is. I'm
That's what
sorry.
retweeting something is promoting something.
You could bleep out the curse word. I apologize. But that's like, yeah, like me and you as journalists, you think we don't promote stuff? And then he looks at Friedel and he's like, do you write stories for a living? Do you post for a living? I would have looked back and like I would have been like, hi,
Yeah.
but like that's my job. You're not supposed to do that or anything close to the product of which you promoted or put a
Yeah.
subject on your story. And it's just unbelievable. And I don't think we're going to remember a guy talked about this much, not just in hoops, but all of sports. And like the rants me and you have gone on about him in the summer and last season with the vaccine. It's just like, dude, like you said, now you knew it was all business this year. This was a stupid mess up that you could have easily just been like, I'm sorry, I didn't intend for it. Don't be like dehumanize me, like stop calling it a promotion. It's just, dude, you did it. And obviously, if that's the story, people are going to ask. No one's going at you. No one's painting this picture of you. It's just that's what happened. And we didn't expect to start off with this. Not only get into it like that. I apologize.
No, that's all right. I have 3 points. You actually just brought up a point.
Yeah,
Um,
might as well.
my
This is something big that we missed. Really, like we knew
yeah,
we were going to
yeah.
talk about it.
So my first point is JJ Redick, I believe. I think it was this topic, but if it was not this topic, it applies to this topic.
I'm moving rooms. If I'm going to turn the camera off, but I'm listening.
All good. Player empowerment is a good thing to a certain extent. I think the exact words he said was, "I am for player empowerment until it crosses the line." Because now it's just guys running around like with chickens without heads, and there's no structure to some of these teams because the players run it, and there's a reason why owners are owners and GMs are GMs and players are players. Like obviously LeBron James has more pull than Austin Reeves, but at the same time, the GM is still a GM. The GM still has to have that structure involved. I think that's what's lost a lot in the NBA nowadays is that it's so player driven. It's crossed that line. My second point, you can't have selective you can't have a selective pedestal. You can't have a selective voice. Like whatever Kyrie Irving says or whatever Kevin Durant says or whatever Ben Simmons says or I'm just naming names, I'm not singling anyone out. What you say gets heard by everyone, whether you like it or not, whether you want someone to hear it or you don't. If you put it out there, they're gonna hear it. That's just the way it is. And my third point is this whole thing when I said it was stupid before, it's stupid to post. We live in a world, and rightfully so, where everyone should be created equal. We should not even bring up like racial. I shouldn't say we shouldn't bring it up as a topic, but it should not be. We should keep fighting for the fact that it's an issue. It's an issue that things like this happen. There's an issue that there are anti-Semitic people in this world. There's an issue that people have these thoughts. And I always say, you want to talk about your freedom of speech. I get it. At the same time, you can keep it to yourself. Like, what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen when you say the N-word on national TV or you tweet it out or you say you hate this color or that culture. Me personally, I don't hate anyone. If you respect me, I respect you back. You could be green. I don't care. But like this, so like obviously this won't apply for me, for you, for 97% of the world, this isn't going to apply for. But the 5% or the 3% that don't like a certain race or color or sexuality or gender or whatever you want. Like we've heard it all throughout our years of high school, college, and it needs to be drilled into people because it's not right what some people do.
Beautifully said.
If you don't agree with it, don't say it. Don't put it out there. Oh, well, it's my right. It's their right to not like it either, though. The same
Yeah.
way people say it's my right and cancel culture or whatever, just cancel culture, in my opinion, is getting deleted off Twitter, which I don't really know. Like, has cancel culture ever really worked? Like, Nick Cannon's back on TV.
And
And like,
yeah,
look what he said. Like, you can easily not say that. What's his name? Oh my God, the basketball player. What's his name? The center? Myers Leonard.
yes, that's him.
Just don't use the word. We can't control what everyone thinks. We can't. Just don't say it. It's so simple. And like, it's easy for me to say that, obviously, because I have never thought of using that word at all, or any of those words or slurs or calling someone, you know, bad things. We'll just say bad things. I'm not going to single any specific thing out. I'm going to say it for like the 55th time, though. It is so easy not to say it and avoid so much controversy and so much stupid stuff. You could have just not promoted the book and not have to deal with this. Oh, well, it's my right. I'm not disagreeing that it's your right, but you have to accept the fact that there are consequences for doing stuff nowadays. That's the way the world works. If you don't like it, then I don't know what to tell you.
And like this was really it was him, yeah. And one, you make a beautiful human relation to it, like after this happened, they were talking about it across sports, and our friend from CBS, James Brown, said like he acknowledged it during the pregame before the 1 o'clock games when they did their show, and he was like, hate is a disease. Exactly.
Like it's like you can hate people, you can hate things, but I feel like the word hate gets used way too loosely nowadays, and I feel like people are too easily nowadays to just stereotype, and that's not fair. It's also not fair to say it out loud because you don't know who you're hurting. Obviously, you can't make everyone happy, but it is so easy just to shut your mouth. Not you. It's so easy just to shut your mouth and keep it to yourself. If you have nothing good to
Especially,
say, don't say it at all.
and again, a world icon like him, and yeah, you make a beautiful point. Like
Like it's
those
just
people,
aggravating. It's so avoidable.
and those people are just more than cruel to just the world and humanity. One, and just immature, man. Like it's just like
Yeah.
being a little kid in elementary school, like calling people names and stuff. Like that's exactly what it's like, but like even worse. Cause like again, like we feel, we're human beings, and like
Yeah.
Kyrie is one of those people that knows that, of course, more than anyone in the world. But it's just like you asked for this one, dude. Like this isn't the press like, oh, we got him again. No, it's not.
Because if it
It's
was Kevin
not.
Durant posting it, it would still be out. But
Yes.
because of you say that because everyone's attacking you, you know why? Kevin Durant wouldn't post that.
Yeah, and like
LeBron James wouldn't post that.
don't be like, oh, you're dehumanizing me. Like you posted that and you're a world icon and
Yeah.
no one is dehumanizing you. It's just like the press wanted to know. And it's like, I get it. Like you want to get away from the BS and like you don't care and you don't. Again, he's as we know, he's hated the press and reporters since he was in high school.
And he's allowed to.
Yeah, but it's just like, yeah, Nick Friedel was even saying it back to him. He's like, Kyrie, this isn't me like reporting the
I'm
story.
just asking you a question, bro. It's literally, and the one thing I think Logan Paul said it. He said the whole thing like it's it's not okay to just be not racist. You have to be anti-racist. And I agree with him. I do. It's not okay just to accept like just be like, "Oh, like I'm not part of the problem." Well, there are people that are part of the problem. It's not okay to just to he's right. It's not okay to not be racist. You have to hate it. Like I don't like racism. It's not right. It's unfair to some people to get judged by something as simple as something that their color or their hair or sexual orientation. It's stupid. Like they're human. We're
Absolutely.
Kyrie Irving talks about humanization. You shouldn't be judged by that. You shouldn't be judged by how you feel you should be humanized. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
No, I know what you're saying. It's like I said, like
you
we
shouldn't be
feel
judged based on not your choices. You shouldn't be judged based off of your like
appearance.
if I look, yeah, your appearance or how you talk or how you way you walk. You shouldn't be judged by that. At the same time, though, I agree with Logan Paul. I think it was Logan Paul. Unfortunately, we can never convince everyone to do that. You just we're never gonna get to that point, and it's just sad that that's the point. And it goes back to my point: just don't say it. Just don't just like just you can just so easily just
He just
right over the head.
Yeah, like he acted out of emotion, and like that's why he was like, oh, like it's like he said when he was like, it just shows the world we live in. Like, yeah, there are Kai. We know there are those
We
type of
know,
people
like
in the world, and like, dude, you are one of the like. We get it. You haven't been loved in the press, this and that. Like, I don't have to get into it again, but it's like, dude,
you were
you
loved
are
in
one of
Cleveland.
you are one of the most loved people in all of sports and like one of the most selfless, like I said. So like this was the world making sure, or just like we want to ask and just making sure like that's why the owner brought it up because Joe Tsai because he knows it's wrong and like it's just like again no one is dehumanizing you, dude. That's not the case whatsoever. They just wanted to know the deal. And I get it. He's acted out of emotion because he's tired of him being the story and the press going on him. But Joe Tsai announced it. And that's why the press was asking the question, because you did that and you're a world icon and you
Yeah.
shouldn't promote that and put that on your story. Like,
No, you shouldn't
that's why
promote that.
people are
You're
going
right.
to
You shouldn't
ask.
promote that stuff.
And
Like,
like,
he didn't write the book. He retweeted it. Like, it sounds dumb, like the whole idea of Twitter, like retweets and likes, but that's the world. Like, that's the way things are promoted nowadays. We're not selling newspapers. Like, that's not the way. That's not the way media gets pressed. Like, as like popularity anymore. Like, it's still available, but it's not the number one source. That's the word source. There we go.
that's
Um,
like no one is. Me and you aren't handing out newspapers of the Sports Bible Pod, although that'd be cool.
that would be cool, but it's I actually try actually my first year of college I tried to do like a magazine, but it was just too much work when I was in school. But um all right, I think I got all that out. Want to talk about basketball now?
What do you, I'm curious about the newspaper magazine thing. What did you do?
Oh, it was like football, just like a this week in football. That's how I kind of got the idea of sports writing, and I joined Inside the Hashes, which um I've been gone for them for a while, but if they are watching this, I appreciate everything they did for me. They did it was a good what? I'm not
Praising
being
the
sarcastic.
no, I like that. It's funny.
I know I appreciate everything they did for me. They did do a lot for me. I mean, I spent a couple years there. I wrote a lot of blogs.
It
They
was
always
a
did right
while.
by me.
Yeah, it
And
was a
then
while.
I just it was more me. Like I couldn't get them what they wanted every week, and that's just a respectful decision I had to make. I don't know
It's
what
like
left. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not Kyrie Irving, okay?
it's like me with the Heat fan sided site. Like
Yeah,
I think
like it's just
the All NBA was better for me, and like I wasn't with them that long. I was
and
with them,
also you wanna
but
branch off and do your own thing. And I've enjoyed podcasting more. I started my baseball podcast last night, which I'm recording literally like 15 seconds after I finish this one. Um, but so Lakers basketball, we're half hour in, we're getting to our first topic. Here we go. Um,
we're sorry too, audience. It's just like we saw both sides. One,
no,
he
we're
was
not sorry. We're
one. Well, for
we're
it
here to
being
talk.
that long, yeah, it's just like one. We see the emotion that he was tired of, but this was also the right thing that happened because that was
Yeah,
the story, and you should not do that
yeah. Well, I
again.
think I think structure is good in the podcast, but I think ad libbing is more emotional. I think that's what makes podcasts good. But you know, like not being like okay in step one, like or then segment one, like no, you want to be
Absolutely, yeah.
a little bit
And
fluid.
again, we didn't even expect this. Like we thought we
No,
were just gonna go
we were
into
talking
like
about Zach Wilson for a little bit. Um,
Garrett Wilson.
or Miles Garrett. Um, but the Lakers, we saw that they went 5 of 7 now. They lost a tough one. If you're watching this, on Wednesday, on Monday, they lost a tough one to the Pacers. But I'm gonna make this point. You know how like everyone calls Anthony Davis like street clothes, which he hasn't played a lot in the last couple of years, which we can agree with. Why don't we say that about Kawhi Leonard? He never plays. Like honestly
Absolutely.
never. And it's almost like it's weird with Anthony Davis. It's always he comes back, he has like a sore groin, or it's like he bruises his wrist. It's always something new. Kawhi Leonard, like he came back and he was out with knee injury management for 8 games. That's a
Yeah.
1 game injury. That's a 1 game injury status. Like, what are you like? What is going on? Like, that's why I don't have them in my top 10, just because I don't trust him or even Paul George at this point to stay healthy. I actually have to take Paul George out of my lineup. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, you
I have
do.
to take him out of my lineup. I actually picked him to, I think, play tomorrow. I got to take him out. Who am I going to put in? Quickly, I guess? I don't even know if Quickly's playing. Quickly's hurt.
I'll look
Um,
at it after this game, but or after this pod.
is a game? No. But yeah, that's my point with Davis. He's been playing really well. He's come off the bench and he's done a great job. LeBron hit 7 3, so he's back. Austin Reeves, like their role players are finally finding their roles, and I think last year they never got to that point. You know,
Yeah, and we talked about them a lot. The last pod we did a lot, and
and Schroeder actually looks decent.
yeah, I mean, finally. But yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
anything's better than Patrick Beverly. He's washed, Patrick Beverly.
not to. Oh my God.
You think he's bad or you think he's good?
It's just, dude, I totally 170% agree with Nick Wright when he says he should not be in the league anymore. And that's no shade on him. That's no
He's
shade
just not good enough.
on the person he is or the media person he is now. And his podcast is cool, this and that. But it's like, dude, he has no games with 2 field goals or more. And
Dennis
everyone,
Schroeder had two last night, and he's averaging
I
eight.
yeah, I was saying this to
Not
my,
eight field goals, not eight field goals, 8 points.
yeah, uh-huh. Big one on Saturday night when I was in New York.
Yeah,
He, yeah, had 21, 6, and whatever. And this is with Pat, it's just like, I was saying this to my friends and they think that's like a hot take and don't agree. And I'm like, dude, okay, like he lays a foundation. He's tough. He pushes DeAndre Ayton. He sticks up for his team, this and that. What does it matter on this team? This team,
they
it
don't need
hasn't,
that.
yeah, and it
They need
hasn't
talent.
that, and has it excelled them? No. You have look at their veterans within as it is. Like, you
Yeah,
think they need Patrick Beverly, like you just said, and
especially when you have like guys like Kendrick Nunn who can do the same thing, and Austin Reeves has been playing well. I
not
have a
for
guy.
nothing.
I have a guy written down here, but you can go and I'll bring up the guy.
Not for nothing, too. Like I think we've talked about this in the past, and I used to bring up how like me growing up through the field, I would be sour at people who would be like, oh, like him for DPOY, like, or him better defender over Marcus. He's not that good of a defender. I'm sorry. He's not. Like
He's
he bothers people and he gets gritty and he won't back down and he'll take on forever. He won't back down from the challenge, but he's not like boxing out bigs with ease. Like it's nothing boxing out Porzingis like it's Marcus Smart. He's not like making it. He can make it tough on them sometimes. He's not like making that much of an impact. He's not this like. Not only was he an overrated defender in some ways, at least a little bit here and there, but he's not even close to what he once was labeled or once was. Not even
yeah.
close.
And the whole thing with that whole he's like a meme now because then he threw his thing off when they went to the seventh seed. Like the Knicks didn't even do that a couple years ago. They were the fourth seed, and the Knicks haven't gotten to the playoffs in years.
That's what I'm
So
saying. Like, there's no need for him. There's a lot of players that aren't on teams that are better. Like, I see
and
Nick.
like he's like a guy like Dylan Brooks. He played the Knicks the other day. He's annoying. He gets in your face and all that, but he's a physical defender. He also had like 20 something points.
Yeah,
So I think Beverly at this point, it's like, bro, like you can't act like that with your skill set anymore. Like 5 years ago, your defense was good enough to do that, but now it's not.
that's a good point.
You know,
That
like
and like,
as some like I talk about with Baker Mayfield all the time. You can talk your crap in college when you're the Heisman winner, but when you're the backup, you can't say anything. And he hasn't really. I mean, he said a couple things, but but that's what's gotten in his way. And I'm trying to think of another guy in basketball that's like that. I guess not even Westbrook. Ben Simmons? No. Like, see, it's hard. I can't find like
he's been better too.
Simmons. Yeah, he's growing a little bit, but
I'm sure we'll talk
he's
about
not
Brooklyn.
playing tonight.
Yeah, we'll talk. I did see you got hurt. We'll talk about them a little after the
Yeah,
Lakers.
but the guy I wanted to highlight, obviously LeBron. And if AD is this AD, then they'll be fine. Like they'll easily make a play in if he's playing like this. I didn't expect him to play this well. I'm just afraid he's gonna get hurt. The guy I highlighted was Lonnie Walker. He's been like
Yes.
I talked about last week on my baseball podcast. This guy named Hunter Renfro. He's on the Angels now.
Yeah, he was on Boston last 2 years ago.
The Angels have they have Trout, they have Otani, but they didn't have like the mid-level guy that like is just a staple on their team, like just a solid player. In some ways they're comparable, him and Lonnie Walker. I obviously know I can't compare talents. Like it's a different sport, but
I see what you're saying.
he's there every game. He does everything you need. Like he had 9, 4, and 2, which isn't a lot, but he's averaging 16 a game on 46% shooting. Like that's fine. Or 47% shooting. That's fine.
17 going into last night too.
Well, 16.6. So like 17 a game.
Yeah.
Like he's average like before that he was in double figures He didn't play in November 7th and November 9th. After that, in one, two, three, four, five, six, in seven straight games, he was in double figures. In six of those seven games, I said seven, right? In six of those seven games, he was over 17 points. So as a role player, like, and that's you need a guy like that. You need a guy. I don't want to say like a Marcus Smart, but like you need a guy that's just
He's
going to
out
be
that
there every
category
game.
now. He's out that category
Oh
now,
yeah,
baby.
oh,
He's out
Marcus
that category
Marcus
now.
Marcus Smart is like the modern day John Paxson to you right now, but um, but
Him and
what do you
Tatum
call
or
it?
Draymond and Curry, but we'll get into that. Go on.
That doesn't even make any sense.
the the connection, the
And
chemistry.
you can quit while you're ahead. Lonnie, I'm trying to think of a guy like Lonnie Walker. He's a Spurs player, so he makes a lot of sense. He's from
Like
the
Malik
Spurs.
Monk last year on LA.
Yeah, like I don't want to say Kevin Hurt. Like the Timberwolves lack it right now. They lack that like because the problem with
We
like
predicted
he,
that.
Lonnie Walker is like a poor man's Andrew Wiggins. Like, and I think Lonnie Walker is what the Knicks should try to do with RJ Barrett. And I think Barrett's better than Lonnie Walker, but I think RJ Barrett can't be a star. So let's decrease his role a little bit, let him be more focused on defense, and he'll score his 17 a game on 7 of 10 shooting rather than 9 of 48 like it has been the last couple weeks. But anyway, like you need that guy, and the Lakers did not have that last year at all. Like they were just filling in guys left and right, and I think that's the big difference with them in the last 7 games. Like they're still 7-12, but you know they
Old one.
keep getting consistently better. That's what I meant when I was telling you before. Like the 40 game mark is like where I can judge a team because you fully develop by then unless you make a trade.
Yeah, I mean, and to counter that point, I like said to you, when we're in this field, like that's we just judge it by any game,
Yeah,
especially like a ball junkie like me,
that's what makes it fun.
or like just journalists in general, like me and you, like no matter the sport, the season, like we judge it by however many, we just call it as we see it. Like,
Yeah,
Indiana, the Kings, good example of how the Warriors started, but it's just like, yeah, I like all the points. I mean, it's just last year, uh, old guys coming in and out, no defense,
like the Trevor Arizas of the world.
and Mellows, even though he looked good for the beginning. Monk was good, and he's been better for Sacramento now. And
Yeah,
that's what we said last pod we did. We were like, they made some changes. They got a different scenery with Darvin Ham and the role players, and we'd like to see like guys like Reeves and Troy Brown like step up at times. And I think we said that we were like, Lonnie could be good if he starts and takes the Malik Monk role, hits threes, and plays even. Monk doesn't play his defense, and Dave McMenamin, the ESPN reporter, who he slid in my DMs because we talked about this because I tweeted his video when LeBron
I
joked
saw that.
when
You
he
got a
joked.
fanboy on him.
I did, and he was really awesome, and that really, that's a highlight growing into this field for me for sure. But he just I tweeted the video of him and LeBron where LeBron joked with them. I figured they'd gone at it for years. And he was just like he talked about how the team wasn't playing well, and LeBron called him Captain Obvious. And I said
Yeah, that
Dave
was
McMenamin
funny.
had it coming, and he didn't know what I meant, and just DM me. And then I said,
Yeah.
if if you'd like to offer some advice, I'm here. I'm navigating through the journalism field. Like this just made my week. Fanboyed him and stuff, but he did a story on Lonnie, and it went into like his, everyday life. He talked about how he wakes up and meditates and how he's like, I think he's like my age, how he's looking at the man he can become and grow into. And it talks about like his techniques on and off the floor and just how meditation really just changes, pathway and just changes
Clears,
view on
it
things.
clears
And
your head. It lets you think clearer.
I mean, I could talk about this for hours, man.
Meditation.
I could talk about meditation for forever. Absolutely life changing. Shout out to Comap, best thing ever. But it was just a cool story talking about that, and you really see it how he's grown on the floor with his progression. And he's only on a 1 year deal, I'm pretty sure, but this is maybe two, but he could be a nice piece for them. And this is a great,
He's like Derek White,
yeah, it's a
like
good,
that type of player.
yeah, just a good, both Spurs guys, good organization to help him grow. And just like, yeah, it's just his technique and activity and just his routine has really just changed his play as we've shown. And you mentioned Schroeder finally starting to play with the starting unit. LeBron with Russ on the second unit, that's the biggest thing is LeBron needs a guy to thread the needle besides Davis and
Yeah.
be a playmaker and be a scorer on multiple different levels. Number 21 cannot do that. Never has been able to do that.
No, he's never really been an offensive player.
Of course. And coming in, I don't think I said this before when we were talking about him. Coming into the year, I think I remember telling you, like, I like him on LA. Like, that's a nice fit.
Beverly?
Yeah, he's going to be a good voice, stuff like that. And he had good games for Soda. But it's just like, yeah. And
When you have LeBron James, you don't really need that like emotional leader.
we don't
Like the
need that.
Timberwolves needed that because Edwards is still young. Towns is kind of like a quiet, nice guy, so he can't really take control of the team, that's his personality. And Rudy Gobert wasn't there yet. So like,
And the foundation, yes. And it does not need to be laid in the
yeah,
Lakers locker room from Beverly. But yeah, Dennis, really like, I mean, we said it coming in. We were like, with or without Russ, he's always been a good fit with Davis and LeBron. They have a good record together. And we saw what he did at the Euro Cup. And he's my guy. I'm a big fan of him and I love him. And, we said this as well. We were like, when him and Thomas Bryant come back, they're not going to help the 3-point shooting. Like they
yeah,
don't have that in their game. Dennis can make some, but he's a low percentage, but they could definitely help and provide a boost, which they have. And it's just, we also talked about last pod. We were like, all right, Russ, I remember I was like, he could at least put up like 15 plus a game. And you were like, oh, be careful what you wish for. And
yeah.
then
We were harsh on them, but they've looked better.
shortly after that, yeah, he came into his own and just finally just bought into the process. And then we saw reports of the Lakers getting calls on him again and everyone just liking his ad. Because that was the thing that like me and you talked about was just him not being like not showing it to the media. And he's kind of just like we always compared him and Kyrie and we were like, he shows up and does his job, even though he's getting killed in the press and doesn't look good in the court. He's still that tremendous leader that everyone has loved. That's always been his teammate, everyone's always praised him. And he wasn't doing that. Like when he
Yeah.
was looking terrible, when we thought it could have been a vengeance tour at the beginning of the year, he was like, oh, like going for 0-11 and being like, oh, I played solid, or oh, like my hamstring hurts or my back hurts from sitting on the bench. And like,
They
I
made excuses.
just we saw reports how like him and Ham, their relationship made it easier for him, but he was still throwing shade
Yeah.
at the microphone. He was just like, listen, it's weird. I'm thrown off my routine. Like I'm not used to this and that. But now he's just bought in. And another thing that Chris Haynes said, who I've also talked to his brother Mark Haynes recently, another great reporter for the NBA. He was like, every stop that Russ has made, he's had to adjust some way. With Harden playing a little more off ball, even though him and before the bubble they looked awesome together finally. But playing a little more off ball with James, playing in Washington with Beal, and then even the switches the Thunder made. So it's like we knew he was capable of this, and it's just the league kind of seemed to be taking him out of his sanity and all the press. And I'm a big fan of his as well. He's one of my favorite Hall of Famers, and I always have been. So it's just good to see him finally get back on track. He was 24 last night, his second season highest.
I just banged my finger.
You good?
Yeah, I banged my finger on my table.
But it's good to see him really get into his own. You brought up Davis too before we get off this team. Like I have his numbers pulled up from before. It's just like, man, he was looking like an MVP
like
candidate.
like Pelicans Davis.
Absolutely. And the best he's looked in a Laker uniform since the Disney bubble. And that game at Phoenix last week, 37, 21, 5 blocks, 5 steals. He was the first player to ever put up that stat line. Before that, 30 and 18, 38 and 16, 37 and 18, 24 and 14. After the 37 and 21, 25 and 15. Last night, 25, 13, 6 and 4 blocks. And now this is like the MVP candidate that Kendrick Perkins and that the rest of the sport has been saying they want to see. And really the best he's been since the bubble. And when we get to the player rankings, I'll talk about him more. But it's just like, Darvin Ham has preached it. The outside media has preached it. Now the locker room sees it. He has the torch from LeBron. And however he plays, like, he makes all things go. And,
Okay.
LeBron's those capabilities, as many have said, like, there is probably like 10 players in the league at least today that are better. But it's like, it's still LeBron James. It's just at some
Yeah.
point, even we thought we might see it in Cleveland, we see it now when a month before he turns 38, Anthony Davis, rightfully so, has taken the throne of Lakerland that we even thought he would coming out of the bubble when people thought that they'd be the best team in the league and stuff like that for the foreseeable future. It's just surprised that like they've really, turned it around a little, like you said.
I wouldn't say he took the throne just because he is LeBron James and he's still putting up really good numbers. Like people like his struggling this year is like it makes me laugh because any player in the league takes that, maybe not his 3 point percentage, but any player in the league takes his stat line. It's like, all right, I'll do that 10 years in a row and I'm I'm getting paid. But um yeah, so that's it though. I like Davis, like if this is vintage Davis, and people forget he's only 29. Like he's not 35. Like it feels like he's like 40. Like I feel like he's been in the league forever. But to switch off topics, another team in California, I'm gonna just highlight the Kings if you don't mind, but I'm also gonna I have a take.
Oh,
Sacramento
we
Kings.
must highlight that purple beam right across paper. Hell yeah, we're gonna talk
The
about the Kings.
but the Kings, you can go more in depth on the Kings himself, but for me, the Kings, like their offense is playing great. That's a sign of a good young team. Can we finally say that this Sabonis Halliburton trade
You were
was just a
gonna say
win-win? Because the Kings had to pick between De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton, and you can still argue that De'Aaron Fox is better than Halliburton. Argue, I said argue. I didn't say he is better, but it's not like it's not the Monta Ellis Steph Curry argument, you know. And what was I gonna say? Teams like the Kings, teams like the Pacers, Portland, um, Utah, even like it's still early. Like I talked about that before. They're kind of proven the league is going further and further away, and it's so good that it is further and further away from the super team because you still need stars. We talked about that before. You need good players to win. Like that's common sense. But we're not seeing the Harden, Durant, Kyrie. We're not seeing the Bosh, Wade, LeBron. We're not seeing the Steph, Clay, KD. We're not seeing that anymore. We're seeing this is a bad example, but the Levine DeRozan, the Murray Trey Young. Um, for younger teams, like eventually we're going to see Chet and SGA.
you're forgetting someone, Richard. You're forgetting someone.
I'm purposely not saying them. No, Tatum and Brown. Like, but you get what I'm saying? Like, teams are more focused now on getting deeper, and like, look at the team like the what's their names? Like the Timberwolves. They got their third star, and they're struggling. Like, it's Edwards, Cat, Gobert, and then just their depth is kind of shot. Joel Moran made that point before the year, and I'm like, I don't know, Dev's kind of overrated in the NBA. But this year is kind of showing me that it's reverting back to like old ways in the NBA where you need a deep team rather than three or four just stud players that everyone else just whatever. Portland even like Dame's out, they still have Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons.
It's been
I
phenomenal.
love Josh Hart. I think he's such an underrated player in the league. He's a good example. I think he's better than Lonnie Walker, but he's like Lonnie Walker. Um, like Yusuf Nurkic. Like I'm trying to think of a young team that has this. Like the Rockets, they have a bunch of like just really solid players, and I think that's good for the league because it spreads the talent and it allows for more parity.
Yeah, and like yeah, to your point, super teams.
They're kind of going away.
Yeah, and it's more so that
Tatum
like
and Brown, just here you go, Tatum and Brown, Brunson and Randall.
hey, it's like we're just a force, like I've said, and like it's just the fact that it kind of just seems like the future is now a little bit with like
Like the draft classes are getting strong again.
yeah, and it's just the teams we didn't expect to be that this good this early. Sacramento, me and you have always been high on the Blazers. Indiana, me and you when we did our standings, we had
I
Indiana.
go worst team in the league, right? Oh no, we had Charlotte as the worst team in the league. I think we're on to something with that.
Yes, we are, and we knew it. But it's just
Washington, Beal, Kuzma, Porzingis.
320-point scores too. Like I just wrote that Kuzma story. Like I thought they could be a good big three. I thought they'd be a little worse in the standings through 20 plus games. So like they have some potential.
Yeah,
Um, Wes Unseld Jr. does a good job there, and Monte Morris and those role guys, they're capable. And that this Halliburton Fox deal is like mine and your favorite topic since February
well,
of
it pisses me off every time I hear Tyrese Halliburton because he can be a Nick so
well
easily.
that and you love the him and Fox debate, which I would always say to you towards the end of last year after the deal in the summer, I'd be like, listen, he's better than Fox. They easily won this deal, which people still look at it and they're like, oh, Indy easily won the deal, but like it's just analytics, man. Like, look at it worked out for Sack. Like
Yeah,
Sabonis, and like you said, you could argue, and he probably it's like neck and neck, man. It's so tough. A lot of people think, especially with the MVP caliber campaign that he's had, De'Aaron Fox, yeah, he's better than
he
Halliburton.
had a
Honestly,
bad game yesterday, but
I
it happens.
it's tough for me to say. I'll still go Halliburton, but it's just like it's neck and neck. And Fox really is an MVP caliber
He's
guy.
24. I mean, NBA is weird with age though, because like people are already capping some guys at like 21 years old, and it's like they still haven't grown into their bodies fully.
And that's the beauty of Tyrese that I've told you. Like since he's his rookie year, he's just shown that he's different. The game winner last night from Nemhard, his name is, right? Um,
Uh
that's it.
it was someone weird.
I want to say that's it.
Yeah, Nemhard,
That's how you pronounce it.
Andrew Nemhard.
Yeah, and it's just, dude, look at his pass. I was tweeting it multiple times. Look at the pass he makes just on that. And I saw him talking about it before. He was like post game. He's like, I realized we had 4 seconds on the clock. I was about to, and I even thought he was maybe going to turn around and fade. And probably would have looked a little weird from him, like knowing his form and stuff. And he didn't. He was like, I knew 4 seconds is a lot of time. Drops the dime to Andrew, nails the three right on LeBron's closeout, and that was some shot. And he even had Turner straight away, who Miles Turner's been really good as well. Like me and you have talked about him a lot. He's answered the call in Sabonis's since Sabonis has
Yeah.
departed. And, Buddy Hield has come back down to earth with his hot start and hot shooting. But like they have the pieces, dude. Rick Carlisle's a good coach. Benedict Mathurin, and
I want to say something when you finish your take.
he outplayed LeBron last night. Like he
I,
was,
I was gonna say points, rebounds, assists yesterday. Benedict Mathurin had 32 points, rebounds, assists. LeBron James 31.
Guess who played LeBron James in the sleeper app too?
Who you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, so you got him on a bet. You got him on a non-LeBron day.
I had him against Giannis Friday, but then I was like, listen, I'm going to be glued to the Celtics mostly that game. The Friday against the Heat, of course. So let's switch him to the game I'm watching
Yeah.
against Indiana. I thought it was a great game. I mean, the Lakers really just can't. It looked like they went on a Celtic run, but they really just can't close that up 17 with 8, 9 minutes to go. Like that can't happen.
Yeah.
And it's just Indiana is so fun, man. And like that looked like a trade that really worked out for both teams for what it was as a laughing stock. It's just the Kings are great. The Pacers are
Yeah.
great. And they have their building blocks now that
Yeah.
are going to be great for them for a long time.
Comment below Fox or Halliburton. I want to see what some of you guys think. I'll post polls on Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff, but I'm interested what people think.
A
You
lot
know,
of people, just real quick, a lot of people are
yeah,
going to be like, oh, marketing for, most improved. But like, dude, it's easily Tyrese. And Tyrese will be in the All-Star game.
you know my
So
feeling on that. You
Fox.
know what? You know my feeling on. Oh, maybe not Halliburton, but last year John Morant. But anyway,
So will
um,
Fox. Fox will be in the All-Star game too.
yeah, um, Jalen Brunson going most improved.
I mean, we knew he was capable of this, though. I'm thinking.
Halliburton was drafted how high? Anyway, what do you call it? What was I gonna say? You know what we should do Saturday for our 1 year? We should do. I would say do it today, but I want to have some more time to look at it. We should do like our top 10 duos in the NBA. I
Hell
think
yeah.
that'd be a good segment.
I'm just gonna say it now. I didn't like I was like, maybe coming into the year, like on paper, you have the Laker duo, the Clipper duo. If the Nets uh put it
KD and
together and
Kyrie.
actually played, yeah. And like guys, audience, Richard, like you know yourself, it's crazy how
Let's
easily
get on to the power rankings.
it's crazy how easily they are. And it's just
Yeah.
the amount they both score 30 every game, how they do it on the other end, how they feed off each other. It's just like like honestly, the Grizzlies backcourt gave them a run for their money in the beginning of the year before Desmond Bain went down. But it's like,
They got a solid team though. They got a lot of good pieces, the Grizzlies.
of course, and Boston too. But it's like, dude, these guys. And Lucas said it Wednesday before we played them on ESPN. He was like, "This is the best team with the best duo. Don't get this
Yeah.
mixed." And they are. And I'll
We'll worry about that
Did
Saturday.
I did I say this to the audience in the beginning too? When we're talking about power rankings and stuff, I said this to you all day. I said this to you yesterday. We did it with Kyrie Irving, but I'm trying to do a better job for our audience to not get into like the 40-minute Celtic rants. So like we're not like usually it just starts off and I'm like, yeah, man, here's what we missed like the past few weeks or like X amount of multiple games or stuff like that. And it's good to go on rants and like especially with how passionate I am, but like
Are you
we
gonna
want
start your Bleed Green podcast again?
I told you I was gonna make a new one and I told you
Are we
what my
done?
I maybe I didn't tell you what my new name was gonna be. And there you go, audience. I am gonna make a new one soon, but like I still have focused on writing and the grind right now, as everyone
Yeah.
knows. Just that's a late. I'm gonna pre-plan everything on paper and like plan
Hmm.
days and make it a lot more professional than Bleed Green, as I've told you my
Yeah.
wishes. But
I tried to get like all my stuff set up for the RBI podcast, which if you guys
yeah,
didn't know, it stands for Richie's Baseball Index.
and
I
you've done a
couldn't think of
great
anything
job.
better. I couldn't think of
Yeah, and
anything
then
better.
last we talked on this, and like in general, you were like, I need to think of a name, and I saw
Just
it.
like just a starting point. It was like basically what I needed.
I saw it, and I was like, dude, that's a great name. Like I said that to you on IG, but it's like clever name I thought of for my new one. That's going to be more professional and
Okay.
a lot better. Like honestly, easily guessable if you think of basketball terms. Easily
I,
guessable.
I'm thinking of something with J.
No,
No. Okay. Well, we'll
something
have that.
involving me.
You. I don't know, but we'll green release.
Fairly
Ooh.
close.
Okay. If you guess this, you get a free follow if that's still cool. Um uh
Yep.
but so do you want to do power rankings or you want to go over the players first? Like players we highlighted for the week?
Whatever you want to do, but to finish what I was saying, like, yeah,
Yeah.
like we're sorry, I'm sorry, audience. Like, I want a reason to get into this. Like, of course, there's a reason, but you know what I'm saying. I want a starting point of
Hmm.
like we're going to talk about power rankings. Obviously, the Celtics are going to come into play, so that's what I'm going to
Yeah.
talk about them. But bottom line, I'm not going to be like, oh, here's everything we missed since October 20th.
Yeah, like you pick up where like you are at that point.
Yeah, like everyone sees how amazing we are, and like it's just
Yeah.
yeah. Now, like this is like our topic of what we talk or what we're about to talk about will lead me into it. It's just the Kyrie Irving thing that we like. This was big, and like we knew it's kind of like what we did with Draymond and his punch. Like we knew we were going to talk about it. Big in the media, of
Yeah.
course.
So we could do the players first. Um I'm just gonna highlight mine and then I'll go through brief blurbs about them after. I highlighted five guys. I already told you guys about Lonnie Walker was one of them. After that, I have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Brunson, Kristaps Porzingis, and Anthony Simons. SGA, 8 of 9 games, he's at 30 points, and he's just as smooth as butter. Is that a term? I didn't want to say a baby's butt on a podcast, but um, smooth as butter. Jalen Brunson is averaging 21 and 7, 3 straight 30-point games, 4 straight with 25, and he's been the motor for the Knicks offense that doesn't exist. I hate Tom Thibodeau.
And
Uh,
don't be so hard on your team.
it's when the offense is just so stagnant and it's annoying. But Kristaps Porzingis, ex Nick, is averaging 21 and 8, shooting 41, not 41. Oh no, he had a 41-point performance
Yeah.
last night, and
Guess who
he's just
didn't
been
play him on sleeper?
ah
Got to
that
keep
sucks for
talking
you.
about it. So frustrating.
And he's really just settled into his career, it feels like he found who he was. I mean, I really think if the whole thing with his brother and whatnot didn't fall out with the Knicks, he'd still be on them. But he's a good fit for the NBA nowadays because he's kind of bulked up. Like he's not like a skinny little nothing anymore, and he's just a quality player. Like the fourth and final guy, or the fifth and final guy I have here, because I talked about Lonnie Walker with the Lakers. Anthony Simons, I wrote down here that he had 8 straight 20-point games. He cooked the Knicks. He had 8 straight 20-point games on my correction. Before his last game played, I think he had like a tough game. He had 15, I believe. He's the reason why I trashed the trade last year for the Pelicans, but it actually turned out works all right because New Orleans is like I think fourth in the West right now, but he made you. He's the reason why they traded McCollum. They gave him 100 million. He's their two right now. He's their one with Lillard out, but he can just that dude needs an inch of space and he's gonna score. He's gonna put it up, and he's a well-rounded player too. Like he's not erratic. He doesn't play like a young player at all. And I
Three
think
levels or four levels, multiple scorer, and he just constantly grows on it. Like we talked about the last pod when he hit the game-winning layup or against whoever it was. I think it was Phoenix, and then
yeah,
the one clip I posted where I said to you how Dame was like, "Oh, you got paid. It's your time."
yeah,
Like
like
that's that dude.
like
He
you're
really
not the
is.
young guy anymore. And I think him not being I think he's a good example of like development in basketball. Like it took him a couple years to like get to this point, but now I mean he's still like he's not a star, but he's one of those guys that like
I'd say
he's
borderline.
above he's I would say he's not a superstar, but he's not a star. I think he's an all-star. I think there's a difference between star and all-star. I think star is like Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, like that realm. And then superstar is like KD, Luca, Jason Tatum. And then
Sadly,
star, what's up?
sadly you went to the depressing bowls there when you went to the star
Yeah,
level.
well, like I think Trey Young is like the top of the top list, I think, of like right below superstar. So I would consider Trey Young a star. So I
Yeah.
would consider Simons a notch below that, like below that class. Probably like tier three, but like tier three meaning only ranking the top 70 guys in the league or something like that, 60 guys in the league. That's a lot too because basketball is kind of short rosters. But yeah, so those are my five guys. SGA, I'm not surprised. I think SGA is on that Trey Young level at this point. And Brunson is probably with Simons, probably a little better than Simons. Porzingis, same thing. Lonnie Walker's below that. So those are my five. How many do you have?
Probably take. So I did a top 10 player power
What
ranking.
were you gonna say before that? Before you get into it, you were gonna say something about my list.
I would take Simons over KP. I'm thinking as of today, I
Yeah,
would.
I mean he's younger. I don't even know if he's younger.
No,
Porzingis
yeah,
was so young when he got drafted.
no, yeah. The Zinger is like 26 now.
He's 26.
It's
I'm
been
getting
since like
old.
2015, if you think about it.
Porzingis is 27 years old.
I was gonna say maybe older.
When did he
And
get 2015? So
yeah,
he's 20.
to your Blazers and Simon's point too, like it's really showing how much they really, study Jeremy Grant these years and just
Mm,
showing how great of a fit and he's a free agent to be, I'm pretty sure. So
Grant.
pretty sure, yeah. And or he could decline his option. I know I saw it on Twitter yesterday, so it's like I think he might stay, but it's like it shows how much faith they had in him and it's paying off and he's a perfect player for them. You saw what he did to the Knicks besides Simons and it's his two-way game. And he's always been special on that end, like we saw with uh OKC's Durant, Harden, Westbrook's teams.
He's unrestricted after this year.
Yeah, and he has always been a great shot blocker at the rim, plays good D, and then the bubble with the Nuggets he was on. He showed his scoring abilities next to the Joker, and then on
Yeah.
Detroit he was like the main guy, and they shut him down, and he showed he could put up like 20 a game and stuff like that. Now here he is, and excellent place for him.
You
Who
wanna? I'll go on.
I was just gonna keep praising the Blazers. It's just that's we talked about it. This might be their best team, like that Dame's had.
Yeah. You wanna? You got your 10, right?
Say that again.
You got your 10, right? You said you have 10 guys.
Yeah, so I have five that I like and a 10 player power ranking. I'll go through it fast. Tatum
You
is
go through the
number.
power ranking fast, and then take. You could take time with the five.
Yeah, Tatum is
Tatum.
number one.
This is your MVP ladder, basically.
Yes, I or just power ranking in general. But yeah, I would say that.
You'll see my head shakes if I agree.
Tatum is one. I didn't
Okay.
like how like
I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing.
I,
Don't worry.
I was saying this to you on the phone before coming into the season, and many people that like heard me say it uh weren't too sure. But I come into the season and the first few weeks, I was like, Luka is the MVP. I said it to you.
Yeah.
I was like, he's the next LeBron. We thought Dallas would be better. They've underperformed. The loss of Brunson has been huge. Spencer hasn't answered the call consistently. Kid's got to play Woods more minutes. And it's just when, that's your two second best players. It's hard. Brunson does
Yeah.
a lot, as you see now for the orange and blue. And like we said, we thought Dinwiddie could be 50, 60% of Brunson, but it's hard when he's like your second best guy and handler. But so I said this to you on the phone, a performance Tatum had, it was like early November. It was another night before I had the top shift Sunday morning. In Detroit, he just was not missing. Not missing. Off of back to back. I want to say he had like close to 40. I forget what the exact line is, but that's when I was like, it was all Kobe shots too. And as I've always said, as anybody who studies and watches him and the game like I do, it's like you see Kobe moves more and more,
Yeah.
and after that outing is when I was like, all right, he's he's the MVP if he keeps this up and if we keep this up because it's no knock on Luka, but he looks like, and we saw it last year, right? Against the Nets, the Bucks during the run. He was mean.
Yeah.
And he's getting stronger, more muscular, looks angry, does it on the defensive end. And it kind of reminds you of just like that, like young Kobe, like meanness he has right now. And like LeBron year two when he lost to the Mavericks in Miami. And that's just what he's looked like. And after he outplayed Luca and the Mavs and we beat them and put on that show that he does every night, he was Luca was one, he was two, and me and the rest of the Celtic fans and even more of media were like, how is that? Like it's Tatum
Yeah.
right now. But so I'd go Jason. He's my MVP. Just if he keeps it up, if the Celtics keep it up, Doncic 2, Antetokounmpo 3, Morant 4, Durant 5. Just had 45 points last night.
Oh, this is not MVP rankings, right? This is player rankings.
It's however you define it. Like you said, it is kind of like MVP, I
Because I
suppose.
can't give the 10 seed an
No,
MVP.
he's not my top 5 MVPs.
Where the
Kevin
hell
Durant.
is Jokic?
There's just 10 players to me that are playing better right now.
All right.
He's not. Jokic is not in my MVP talks either, but
Okay.
so KD 5, Donovan 6, 7 Booker. You'll be happy about this. 8 Fox,
Okay.
9 AD. I have a 10A and 10B.
It's pretty often, but okay, go.
Halliburton and Jalen.
Okay. I feel like you're forgetting somebody.
It's got to be Jokic, like you said, but it's just Jalen. I said it to you before on the phone. 9 of his last 12 games, 25 plus. Marcus said it. You know, he's as we know Tatum's better, but Marcus said it to the media recently that when
Where's
you know,
Siakam?
he's just been out. So
Okay, that's right.
maybe
That's fair.
maybe he will be top 10 or within, of course, if the Celtics continue to roll this way, continue to look like the best offense ever, and this just all-out powerhouse to say the least. But it's like Marcus said it to the media himself. He was like, when he performs this way, he's shown he can be an MVP candidate himself and looks like he belongs in the conversation. And it's true. And the game Sunday night against Washington when Tatum took a rest for sure showed it. He had like 36. Yeah, Halliburton to me is an MVP candidate. To me right now he might be top 5, 6. So that's why he makes my top 10 players list for sure. Davis, we talked about it before. I think
Yeah.
he belongs in there if he continues and if the Lakers keep trending up.
Yeah.
But
Like guys like you're talking before, like the Bulls guys aren't really doing that thing. Steph Curry?
he does belong in there. That's a big knock by me. He
That-
does belong there. He belongs in top 5 for sure. But it's just like
Admit
The
you
way-
forgot him.
the way these teams. I really haven't. It's just the way these teams have been playing compared to the Warriors. But Davis, I just like you could say.
How are you gonna make that statement and have Durant?
That's what I'm saying. But it's just like it's still Kevin Durant and the way he's been playing. The Nets have been better too as of late. Like them, the Warriors and Lakers have been trending in an upward direction.
I know, but he's Steph Curry.
And a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, this is Rob speaking from June and speaking from, biasness, but it's really not. He does belong in there. And I apologize, Steph. I would probably take within Mitchell, Booker, or Fox. I would probably take out for him, I would say.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, I knew you forgot someone huge. It was like,
Him and Jokic are the two. But Jokic, like, they're not that eye-popping of number. He did have, like, a Jokic line last
he's
night.
actually not. He's not shooting the three that well, but he doesn't
And
have to be like good.
Yeah, and there's just better players than him. Steph, I agree with you, but it's just like these are the guys that have been trending upward for me, Davis. And like you could argue Mitchell, Booker, Fox, and obviously Steph is one of the league leading scorers. And like I
Yeah.
said, those three most talked about teams, Golden State, Brooklyn, LA, trending up.
Yeah.
And I like Davis as an MVP candidate. So that's why I took like the biasness, I guess, towards that. But speaking of Durant, I didn't get to say this before when we were done talking about LA. Got to bring this up, right? Because just the way they looked, like I said, they're doing a lot better. And they just are in general. The Kyrie thing, when he was off the floor, they were looking, just better without him. Like the trend's been with him in Cleveland and Boston, it lives on. People within the Nets want to tell you maybe it's the coaching, maybe it's the scheme of things, but like it's too obvious at this point for X amount of years.
Mm.
But if they continue to be porous, agree, right? Durant goes back to Joe Tsai and Sean Marks and says, listen,
Probably.
I'm interested in it again. Yeah, and you feel for him at this point with Simmons a lot better, like we said. And
Simmons hasn't been a distraction this year. Like I saw someone say, like, "Oh, for sure, Ben Simmons has been the biggest distraction on the Nets." I'm like, "Are you on drugs?"
absolutely. And like it's just he's been a lot better. Kyrie hasn't had that like big Kyrie performance since he's come back from the suspension, I would say, like a big outbreak that we're used to. But it's that's why he requested a trade. And you probably saw the story he had with Chris Haynes when
Yeah.
like he I mean, I don't know what leader just says like, oh, like what kind of players are you giving me? Like, what is this? I really
Mhm.
don't. But
No.
you probably saw it on Bleacher Report.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I meant no. No, I don't agree with it. I definitely saw that.
Like Chris Haynes' story, like
I was like, "Oh, you're putting with Nick Claxton,and he's like, naming
Royce
names." I'm like, "What are you
O'Neal. Yeah,
doing?"
and who does that? And um, oh man, it's just you feel for them, and they are doing better. And the guys that like looked like great signings on paper for what they had are looking good. And Royce O'Neal and Watanabe, and they get T.J. Warren in the lineup finally Friday, and it's just like games that they should win still though. Like they're getting
Yeah.
blown out by I mean the Kings are great, like we said, but they're getting blown out by the Kings. I mean
Yeah.
Indiana's awesome, like we said, but they lost to them the other night. And the biggest positive is Simmons' growth and like
Hmm.
that seeming to be back more and more, even though like we said he is hurt now. Hopefully he's all right. But it's just talk about two unreliable pieces of supporting cast. It's just he deserves better. And you had to know that, like, especially when this Kyrie thing happened, we saw all the news stories breaking from the Athletic and from everywhere that were like, this is the beginning to the end. Not only were people like, oh, Kyrie won't be in the league anymore, done, days as a net are numbered. The GM saying, like I just said, that he was done in the NBA, but it's like everyone was like, this is the beginning to the end, a blow up, just with this Kyrie thing off the floor again. And
Yeah.
to this point, I'll let you talk. I'm sorry, but to this point,
No, you're good.
I do not think they negotiate with him, Kyrie.
They
At
might
this
just
point, I
cut
don't
him.
even. Well, he's a free agent to be like Westbrook, but my point
Yeah.
is, it's like at this point, I don't even know if you're going to negotiate with Marks and Sai. Like, is it worth it? Because
Yeah.
he's out the door probably with everything
Yeah.
that's gone on these 3-4 years, like we said, and it's Kevin. Kevin's got to know. And what do you think?
No, yeah. I mean, I think cutting Kyrie, well, now it doesn't make sense because he's back. But if something happens again, what value are you getting at him anyway? Just like cut him. He's
He's not
gone after
getting.
this.
He's not
He's
getting.
not, but like you know what I mean.
Not
Like he's
getting. I
gone.
don't think he's getting dealt either because like he's a free agent to be, and who wants a
Yeah.
rental and just
That was my point though. Like if you do cut him, it's not like you'd lose value over him because like he's gone anyway next year.
yeah, and like there's just going to be minimal suitors again, like there was this past
Yeah.
summer, and only for like 1 or 2 year deals, and it's not like Westbrook where it's like a team like the Pacers or like the Hornets are like, oh, we believe in you as a
Like
leader.
they're not gonna take that shot. There's no point in them doing that. Like a
Like
team like Dallas might do it, or like,
I've said I like that just because
but Luca is like,
he needs that like talent of a player by his side, but
I
I
know
think
it's
they're too
weird though.
intelligent of an org. Like we said, they're too smart.
Yeah,
Like does
I
even on him? I don't think so.
I don't know. Um, so do you wanna you power rankings?
Yeah, and it's just I want to give another Durant point too. Did you see where he
Mhm.
was talking about the Kings? And he was like, I don't care if you're the Boston Celtics, like they're a tough matchup for anyone. He legit wants to be a Celtic so bad.
Yeah, but
So bad.
there's no point in the Celtics going after him right now.
Absolutely. I was saying that to my friend. No.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I wouldn't even give up like not a single bit of the core. Just dude, they're the prime Patriots right now of the basketball is
yeah,
of basketball is what it's
because
looking
Boston hasn't won enough in sports. They've been like dominant for 20 years. But so power rankings. I'll go first. I'm just gonna read through it and then I'll explain like the questionable spots I have. I got Boston 1, Milwaukee 2, Phoenix 3, Cleveland 4, Portland 5, Memphis 6, Indiana 7, Philly 8, New Orleans 9, Sacramento 10. I left out the Clippers just because I don't trust any of those guys to ever stay healthy. Like I trust Philly; those guys are gonna come back. Like they, you know what I mean? Like Embiid's gonna come back, Maxi's gonna come back, Harden's gonna come back. It's gonna be in and out with the Clippers all year long. So I'm not gonna trust this team right now as a top 10 team. Um, I took Portland over Memphis because I think they beat him in a like a series right now. I think like fully healthy Dame is better than Ja. That's close, but I would probably take Dame over Ja in the playoffs. Simon's better than Bane. Nah, that's close too. So yeah, it would be a close matchup, but Indiana over Philly just because of health reasons right now, and then the Pelicans over the Kings just because I think they have a little bit more talent, and that's basically like my top 10. It's pretty cutthroat. I don't have the Warriors in here. I want to see them be a little bit more consistent to get them in there. Dallas has fallen off. Brooklyn has just been consistently inconsistent the entire year. So
So me and you were the opposite with the Warriors. Like I said, I had them sneaking in at the bottom, but I didn't have
mhm.
Steph in my top
Yeah,
10.
like I think the Warriors are probably like 12th or 13th for me if I had a full 30, but
Yeah.
I don't. So
Mhm. And like, yeah, it's just kind of similar. Bottom half, definitely different. I would say maybe even less than that. Um, Celts 1,
mhm.
Bucks 2. They're first in defensive rating. Like I said, that's if we're gonna put one knock on the Celtics is their inconsistency. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
on the defensive end that we're unused to from last season. But they're still like 17th, and we know that's gonna change with Rob. And it's just kind of nuts how like last year they went from the best defense ever to looking like the best offense ever now since the
yeah.
merger. And so I have them. Uh, Milwaukee, Phoenix, Devin Booker on the road is 31, 5, and 6, shooting almost 50%, 41 from three. Memphis,
Okay.
4 for me. I have Denver fifth, 6 Cleveland, their third defensive rating, who
I don't have Denver in here. I forgot Denver.
I will continuously praise you. We talked about the standings before and how wrong we were about some of these young teams
I know I
and
forgot to put Denver in mine.
all the talent. That's all right. But
I'll slide them in. They're like probably right below Memphis, I would say. So
But I was gonna say, like, you were very right about the Cavs when I definitely didn't think they'd be that great. And I wrote a story since we last talked about Mitchell and his MVP chances and how like he looks a lot more forceful on the defensive end that we haven't seen in years, and he's more of a playmaker, and he's just super spectacular and electrifying this year. And we talked about the young teams before. I meant to say this when you were talking about like Houston and them.
mhm.
That's the beauty of the league now is like
Yeah,
I could go see the Celtics and Thunder, and you would or Houston are the worst teams, or like whoever would be a worst team on paper, and
The Magic.
Detroit, yeah, and you're still seeing tremendous talent. Like you're still seeing beautiful talent in Banchero, Franz Wagner, Bol has been awesome. Wendell Carter. You're seeing the Rockets backcourt, Jabari Smith. You're seeing Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Poku, and Josh Giddey. Like the league is just it's so much great talent, and
Yeah.
all the teams are fun.
Hmm.
And so Cleveland is 6 for me, a third in
Okay.
defensive rating. I have Indiana 7th.
Okay. Yeah, I have them. I have them eighth.
I
No, I have them
have
seventh. No, eighth. Jeez.
the Kings. I have 8. I
Okay.
have the Clips still in there just because they were my Western Conference champion favorite.
Hmm.
Just because, like we said, they have not been, and we haven't seen anything like this. And you brought up the whole, street clothes and AD and Kendrick Perkins. Everyone's been saying that, and you're exactly right. Like it's time to look at Kawhi that way. And the thing is with them is like they can fulfill that destiny and finally making the finals. It's just we need to see Kawhi Leonard at his best, and if
Yeah.
not, then I don't think George will do it himself. And they do have, as we know, great coaching. Zubac was awesome the other night. Uh,
They're the prime examples that you still need
the
stars.
role guys have all like meshed with what they thought would happen when they made that splash last year's deadline. And Covington, even though he doesn't play many minutes, Man, Norm, Reggie, John, like they're all coming together. Marcus Morris, Batum has good outings. Kennard when he's healthy. Um, but I'll give Ty Lue credit. So I got them at 9 still, and then I have a 10A and 10B again. I have the Dubs and the Blazers.
So you let Philly out.
Yes,
Okay.
and I give them credit.
That's okay.
Big
Yeah.
win last week. Shake Milton's been awesome, just against the fully healthy Nets or without Warren and whatever else, like fully healthy Nets team, and they spoiled the Simmons return. I give them credit; they're awesome, fully healthy. Hopefully, Doc gets them to mesh perfectly, and they gain some continuity when James and did come back. When James comes back and
Yeah.
Tyrese, but it's like I will put the Warriors at 10. Blazers just because they've impressed us so much. Like we said, I'll put the
Mhm.
Warriors at 10 for the way they've been. I'm pretty sure Clay is now averaging like 25
He's playing well.
and like 6 or something like that with like a scorching percentage from 3 since he got the heckle from Mikal Bridges that game. Honestly, he's turned it around completely. And John Morant tweeted it. He was like, now Ben and Clay's hooping and everyone want to shut up. It's kind of right.
Yeah. Well, yep.
That's how
Um,
That's how people view things, and it's just like you're right, Ja. It's ridiculous.
I think that's all we got. This is a long one. What are we at? Hour 45? Yep, hour 45. Well, it's been a while,
I
so.
what was it? If you want to loved players, I only have like 5. Like I said, Brunson, 3 straight 30ers, incredible, like we
Mhm.
expected. It's just they need to get some W's, and he's just so great in crunch time, as you see the way he closes, like never backs down. Always like, and Tibbs says it best. His mind is great, is his greatest attribute because he knows what's coming. He's a step
Yeah.
ahead of everyone else. Halliburton, he's number
Yeah.
2, 40 assists and 0 turnovers his last 3. SGA, can't ignore it. MVP caliber, of course, should be in the talks and will be in the All Star game. 31, 6 and 4, will be on an All NBA team. Davis, this last 10, 29, 14, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 60% from the field. Um, by the way, Brunson in November, 23 points a night. I did fill this in. Almost 50% from the field, 3 boards, 6 assists. And 5th, I didn't want to just like go into a rant about the big 3, but
Hmm.
just like separately. But I wrote the Celtics big 3. Like I said, Brown, 9 out of his last 12, 25 plus points. Smart for the month of November, 12 and a half, 8 assists, 49% from the field, 42 from three. Last night he had 22, 15 assists, 6 and 9 from three. That's why I wrote that story about him. Everyone from the
Yeah.
outside is going to be like, "Oh, it's just Rob right about his favorite player and praising him." Like, no, he's actually
Hmm. Yeah.
at quarterback been the motor to Boston's league takeover. He did miss a few games with his ankle inflammation, but he's been the igniter to all of it, and he has that attribute that's like, I think I said this to you when we talked recently. That's like that's why I wrote it too. Reminds you of that Marcus or Rondo old play. That's like he's coming down the court, especially in transition. He's looking to do something flashy, crafty, and something just like tricky to just fool the no look dishes he has. Like there's games where he just looked like globetrotter-ish. And that's why I also wrote like a lot of people are looking at it like Pierce and Rondo, but even more are looking at it like Steph and Draymond. And he's just been absolutely incredible. Tatum, the numbers don't even have to be said. Like just completely gives you 30 plus every night. And like I said about
Yeah.
him, that whole comparison to Kobe and LeBron. And it's just the Celtics are just unreal, really. And it's just in their last 14 games, they only didn't reach 120 points in just 4 out of their last 14. And it's just every game it feels like they make 20 plus threes. Like last night, they made like 6 in a row early on at one point. The crowd was in all over Griffin. And it's like I said before, it's like a Patriot system, thanks to Joe Mazzulla's offense. And it's just everyone just continue. Right as I say it, Michael Wilbon on not part of the interruption, around the horn. I think this is Celtics best team in the NBA. Just comes up the segment
Yeah.
right as I say it.
It's like Beetlejuice.
And it's like me and you talked about it. Their offense and their efficiency is far away from number two or far above, to the point that it's like a big enough gap to like 2 through 12 or something like that. They're all over StatMuse between the big three and everything they've been doing. And everyone is just locked in, man. Everyone, like Derek White, killer percentage from the outside. Brogdon said recently, it's like we have a second unit of starters with him, White, when he's, not starting. Hauser, Horford's killing it from the outside. Grant looks good each and every game, proves the big payday he's got coming. And that's just how incredible they just don't miss shots. They really don't.
Yeah.
And the defense will only get better when Rob comes back, even though it might take a few games to get him fully back and gelled in. But it's like, and that was the big question, was like, do they need to make a move to relieve Horford more at the deadline to bring in another center to relieve both him and Rob at times? But it's like, no, Luke Cornett's been awesome. He's done his job and he's been great. And it's like the bench duos of like him and Pritchard the other night against Sacramento. They come in and spark the win, and we go on a big run when it was a close game late in the game. Crowd goes nuts, of course. And then Brogdon and Hauser together. And it's just, if they keep this up, they should easily, continue to just be where everyone's expecting them to be. And now everyone's looking at them and they're like, how did they not win the title? And it's just, they are just not skipping any sort of beat all around, like from staff to defense. Like we said, they have those games, but offensively, especially, just everyone is just playing their role perfectly. And like, it's just beautiful to watch night in, night out. And they have a tough schedule coming up too. They got back-to-back at home with the Heat, at Brooklyn, and then they go on a West Coast swing. So like, they could really just, man, if they continue to be themselves over this, like you said, then we'll be into like December. It's just, they keep it up. The sky's the limit, to say the least. It's just, I'm not gonna. The fan in me is not gonna be like, oh, this is the year, even though it's looking like it. It's just you got to keep
Yeah.
it up. Just continuity,
But
consistent.
they'll hit a lull eventually. Like it's gonna happen. They'll lose two, three straight, and then just how you bounce back from that. That's it's basketball.
And
Shots
it's
aren't gonna
looking
fall
like
for a couple games.
that's the funny thing. The two losses they have were against Chicago and Cleveland. Cleveland both in OT, and then two that's out of their four, two at the United Center against the Bulls. Like it's just that's the crazy thing, and like it's
Yeah,
looking like it's impossible for them to lose two consecutive at this point too. It's just that's how beautiful they've been, and it's just incredible. And they just do not look like they do not skip a beat, and they're just as the kids say it. I saw the one reporter Keith Smith, my man, said it. The kids call as the kids say it nowadays. They're a wagon. They're an
yeah,
absolute powerhouse to say the least, man. Absolute and just yeah, just to match up the numbers. I was reading that like their offensive efficiency and net rating is like comparable and similar to the Nash Suns, um, the 16 Warriors, Dirk's old Mavs. Like they are one of the best teams ever offensively, and they look like legit the best team ever with how much they put up 120 easily, and they're getting Rob Williams. So there's my little rant.
yeah. I think that's good place to end it. We covered a lot. Like I said, we're close to 2 hours now, but we appreciate you guys listening to this. I'm going to cut out some of these clips. Definitely the Halliburton one to throw on TikTok and Instagram. Expect this. I mean, you expect it when you see it, obviously, but we appreciate you guys listening. Expect something actually this Saturday for our 1 year of the anniversary for the podcast. So we appreciate anyone that listens, anyone that's told any of your friends about us. We appreciate it. But that's all I really got. You know where to find us, and I will see you guys later.
Absolutely. This was a great one. We look forward to Saturday. Again, we're sorry for the inactivity. We've just been busy with our jobs for CBS and just writing up a storm, just focused on the grind. And yeah, thank you guys for being here for this full year. And again, I'm sorry for the rants. It's just it's been a while. This team, this might be the best Celtic team I've ever seen, at least through 20 plus games. And we went through like the 16 game win streak with Kyrie's first year after Gordon went down and stuff like that, and last year, and it looks like the same team, but even better of the
Yeah.
second half of last year and the playoffs. So it's like just this is just beautiful. Not only just them and seeing them dominate every night, but just see how amazing the league has really been so far to start this year.
Yep. We're about a quarter of the way through. And we'll assess again, like do like we're gonna do more podcasts, but like the full assessment will be like halfway through, and then like that's when I can fully judge teams in my opinion. But before then, we'll obviously overreact to everything, and that's how this works. But like I said before, adios.
Later, pals.